Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm gonna get started here. I got my candles going, but I think I am gonna go ahead and light a little incense just because I was at a family wedding event, which was nice because, as we get older, we don't get to see everybody all the time. So, you know, that was a nice little break away from things. And I got to meet some, you know, they're new to me, but not, new relatives. You know what I mean? Like some of my extended family, my cousin's kids and stuff that I've never met before and stuff. So it was kind of nice. Anyway, so the house has been, closed up for a few days and I've been vacuuming, I dusted, you know what I mean, all that stuff, kind of trying to just give it a little fresh over while the dust settled while I was gone. And you guys all know I have a dog, so pet hair, dust, it creates a nice little layer of that around the house. So I feel like I'm constantly vacuuming. Okay, I think I'm all set here. And remember, relax. We're all crazy. It's not a competition. This I found. I found this when I was with one of my girlfriends. We were celebrating her birthday weekend, and we went out of town, and we happened upon some garage sales, and I saw that, and I was like, "Oh my God, I have to have that." I got that and my light up USA sign, which I'll show you guys it right here, real quick. Here, and I'll even light it up so you can see how it works. I got this for only like $5 or something, so I just had to I haven't really had to replace the bulbs, just the battery, and kind of had to secure the back and stuff. So this has like a timer on it, I think. Yeah, this says 4-hour timer on. We'll see. What time is it now? What time is it? It's time for this reading, right? So, welcome, join in. It's 12:30, so maybe in 4 hours that light will go off. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, it's a time test now. Here's the decks I'm going to use. Okay, so I have the Pulp Tarot. This is the first one I have set out here. The Modern Witch is the second deck. These are both tarot decks, like regular, 78 type card decks. And then this is an oracle deck of meditation cards. So I was intending on taking these with me when I was traveling, and my bags just got so full. And I'm like, you can't take everything, right? So it's like, okay, I'm just going to enjoy, my family time and all that kind of stuff, which I did, so and a break away from what do they say, the ordinary. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things, right? Okay, so hopefully everyone out there is doing well and you have been enjoying your weekend, or if you are starting your weekend, yay! All right. Healing. Ooh, nice. A time for healing. Yeah. Yeah, Pisces here. Cancer actually. Yeah. This is so weird. I was just getting this before, and I think it's because I was around a lot of family, and sometimes they'll say things that like you haven't heard in a million years, right? Because you don't live by each other anymore or whatever. But it's like one of those things, like they say worrying can actually cause illness, you know. So the crab, the cancer here, healing things that give us unnecessary worry. You know, because does worrying solve anything? Like me worrying what okay, I got a little extra around the middle right now, I'm working on it. But, you can worry about it or you just go and you have fun, right? You know what I mean? It's summertime. I wasn't about to be putting on some, like, freaking corset from Gone with the Goddamn Wind or something. You know what I mean? Like I told the dude at the church, I'm like, I'm in my 4th decade. I've been to a few weddings. It was a beautiful church. Oh my God. And the way the church was set up, I think was really set up ripe for the acoustics in there and stuff. And they had the piano music on. And I'm not going to go on too much about it. But anyway, it was nice. It was a very nice church. So, and I'd never been to that one before. Family. Yeah. So literally. You could be resonating with this. Maybe you have a big family or have a large extended family. Okay. Nourishment. Yeah. Being around our friends and relatives to celebrate, literally. Yeah, I was attending a celebration. So, it's still summertime yet. I know, now I just saw my first back to school supply ad on television, right? Because I had TV on in like the hotel just like for the dog, but otherwise I wasn't really like trying to watch TV and stuff while I was visiting with family. But yeah, enjoying the time while you have it, right? And that was like a nice time too. Like we were taking pictures and stuff like that because it was enjoyable. Anyway, let's get into the tarot here because I want to keep this message fairly brief, just because I might hit 30 minutes on it, I'm guessing, but I'm still just kind of catching up. I got laundry now to do and stuff. You know what I mean? Although that's already running, so. Hopefully you all have been doing well. Remember to consider liking the video, especially if you're in the chat today, or becoming a subscriber. Remember, it is free to subscribe, and it is the 100% free way to support the channel. Okay. And you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video either. Okay, so pass that good juju around. You know what I mean? A smile, a nod, giving somebody a little thumbs up, right? Yeah. Saying it's all good, right? That's something that nourishes us, right? Okay, so. What's that Nora Jones song? Chasing Pirates or something? Alexa, what is the name of the Nora Jones song with pirates in the title?
From Wikipedia.org. Chasing Pirates is the first single by American singer Nora Jones from her 4th album, The Fall.
Okay. Questions are answered. Let's see here. Strength, Leo energy. And we are kind of exiting Cancer season, but now that means we're entering Leo season. Okay, so any Leo birthdays coming up? Remember, we're still in summertime. It's still okay to celebrate. Get out to the pool, right? Get out and sit in the sun a little bit, but don't be an idiot like me and mow the grass and wash your RV in the same day without putting on any sunscreen. So, yes, thankfully that is mostly healed by now. And it's so funny because when that happened, it reminded me because this one relative that who got married this weekend, when we were this was many many years ago when I was like a little kid, we had gone to the swimming pool, and I'm pretty sure I had sunscreen on, but like we were kids, in the pool in the water so long, that's and that's probably before they like really got like good on the waterproof stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's like allowing yourself to heal. So I was like like heavily lotioning myself. I was so happy, like that my back was covered for my dress. You know what I mean? Because that's basically where I was burnt the worst at. So I prevented most of the peeling. You know. Um, anyway, which ironically I have aloe vera in the house, and anyway, Five of Pentacles. Okay. So for some of you, you may have been separated from your family for, a while for whatever reason, life choices, right? I was thinking about this when I was doing the dishes. I mean, who else was doing it? Me and my hands, right? Um, so, sometimes we're not able to attend every celebration, right? Because our lives take us in different directions. But, we can still gather around, right? And share that time to celebrate, share that meal with each other. Kind of gives us that spiritual boost. Okay. Right. And that's kind of what heals this feeling of separation, right? When we do have to go out and kind of, we go on our own paths, right? Our own journey. That doesn't mean we didn't love so and so. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And we have to nourish ourselves with experiences and celebrate our own lives, not just the lives of the other people in our family, but it's nice when we're able to, right? Come together. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I feel like that has given some folks some strength. Okay. What's that song? Carry On My Wayward Son. Yeah. Kansas. Me and Kansas were on the road yesterday. You guys, I drove all the way from, oh my God. I was telling people, I was like, I started here. Oh, how many miles is it supposed to be? Alexa, how many miles is it from Peoria to Fargo?
From Peoria, Fargo is 475.8 miles away by car.
So it was close to 500 miles that I drove. I mean, I guess it depends on the route I took to. I didn't like look at the exact, but like I started in the morning, like what? 10ish or something. And then I got home probably like 9 p.m. So I was driving. But like I made stops with the dog and stuff too. But it was just a long day of driving. And I did it all, myself driving. On the way there, I took more time. So 10 of Cups. Okay, nourishment. So, yeah, some of this celebration, some of this togetherness. Oh my gosh, this literally looks like one of my little cousins that I met, and he's like just as cute as in person. You know what I mean? Some folks are just naturally photogenic. You know what I mean? But, again, it was fun, like, especially watching the younger ones dance and have fun. And you know what I mean? It's just a good time. Yeah. So, right, we can celebrate that. Yeah. And yeah, the fool runs their own race, right? There's a big bike race going on across Iowa right now too. And, some people be like, well, what do you need to do that for? Well, don't worry about it. Maybe it's just not your thing, right? That's what you tell them. Okay. That's, again, this journey requires you to run your own race. The dude that hit the 4-minute mile, he didn't do that, by running somebody else's race. If you've watched that story, okay. His track coach was very adamant about him using pacing versus strategy, okay. And and then that got him, that kind of fulfillment in that sport that he was in during that time in his life, right? some people stay in those kind of industries and things like that. Other folks change, right? And sometimes that's part of our journey as well, isn't it? Understanding what can change us, but still what keeps us united as a family. Okay. Collective, also, you might be concerned about money at this time. Four of Pentacles sometimes gives that, and it's one of those things. It's like, oh my God, are we spending money on this? We're spending money on that, but you gotta spend it on something. Just saying. And sometimes spending it on the right thing, right, gets you into right, and then they're jumping for joy, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, the person that buys their $2 lottery ticket, you know, does anyone really expect to win the lottery? I mean, it's just like, oh, it's fun, blah, blah, blah. But somebody wins it. Holy cow. Right? So when you're investing in the right stuff, sometimes it's like, oh my God, the things that can happen. Even when you think maybe it's like a fool's errand. Okay. So, take that for what it's worth. So you can stand on your strength and say, I know I'm making the right decisions here. Okay. It's also my favorite number because I like, infinity symbol. So I also have Leo in my chart, a couple placements. So definitely look up your chart if you've not. There's more than one kind of chart as well. Just FYI, there's different placements. So, you could be one of those people who be like, I read my horoscope in the newspaper and it just doesn't jive with me, like, blah, blah. I get it. It could not reflective of your placement, okay, at the time when you're feeling or thinking or having that situation, right? Okay. Doesn't mean it's bad advice. It might just not be the advice for you. Like this message today. It just might not be the reading for you, and that's okay. Don't sweat it. Right? Okay. So let's get a little bit of clarification. Again, this is the Modern Witch deck. This is like a mini travel size. They also make them in larger forms, I've seen other folks using them. But like this is one of the first decks I had, and I like it because it's literally like kind of playing card. There's that Four of Pentacles again. Here's Three of Pentacles. Yeah. So Three of Pentacles collective, some of you might be wondering about working with the right people. Okay, here. This could be a strength of yours, creating strong partnerships. Okay. You could be artistic as well here. The person doing I almost did that in college. Like when they have for the art department, they always put up the signs for the nude models, or like semi-clothed. They call them like semi-clothed. But it's like, you would just go in and sit there or whatever. I never did it because I think I was too shy at the time. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want anybody looking at me like that. I don't think. But the pay was decent, so I did bartending and instead. Well, when I was old enough anyway, in college. Anyway, Scorpio, Death card, Five of Pentacles. Yeah, so collective, for some of you, you may have felt separation from your family literally due to a death. And this does happen in life, right? Death is part of life. It's not always the thing that we want to be looking forward to. Right? You're like, hey, I just started to live and now you want me to be all worrying about dying. Right? I mean, if you've ever watched television, you've seen it. The life insurance commercials, the buy your plots of land now stuff, and whatever. Right? But the thing about death is that it is a change. It is inevitable, but it's also transformative in the way that when we come together, we realize like how much it's not just us doing things. It's really is like takes a village. Okay. Um, and maybe a little conversation you had with so and so, many years ago. Right? And then it's like, or even if you don't remember all your family members, sometimes it's just being around them, gives you that sense of familiarity, right? Which is comforting, okay? Knowing that sometimes we do part from each other for a while, okay? But if you're a believer in the afterlife, right, then you have that to look forward to after this transformation happens, right? You see this glow here in the background, okay? Because one thing that still happens is that sun comes up, after this moonflower, or this morning glory. Is this a morning glory supposed to be on this flag? That's interesting. I planted morning glories this year, and my one out front is doing super good in one of my pots, and then a couple of the other ones didn't do so well. So sometimes you gotta plant more than one, right? So collective, this also could be when we're talking about planning more than one. You could have multiple like businesses going on, like multiple income streams. A lot of people talk about side hustles these days. The business, lingo is multiple income streams, right? Um, and that is not necessarily something new, right? Um, when I worked at my corporate job, there were people that had their own side businesses, or had second jobs, right? Sometimes it was a family business that they were a part of as well. Okay. Um, so, that might not only require you to have some strength, right? Right, working with family, Have you ever tried to work with your friends? Sometimes that doesn't turn out, right? Imagine working with family, right? Husbands and wives, right? Working together sometimes. Okay. I will say my parents are pretty good at working together on stuff, but let me tell you, it's been entertaining. And sometimes, right, it is that third person is that anchor, right, to say, okay, you can't do this all the time. At a certain point, you got to put another leg out, right, and stabilize. Okay, right? It's like those little hovercrafts. I swear I saw another one. What, the drones? Yeah, I swear there was one that swooped under I had this little canopy set up the other day. And as soon as I had that canopy set up in my backyard, I was like, that was no bird. I could, by the time I got outside, it was gone. I didn't even see it. I didn't see it come back that day. So I was like, whatever. Stay gone. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, yeah, be gone and stay gone. Oh my, right. So, right. Sometimes that part of being around family, because sometimes our family knows us the best in certain ways where, they're familiar with our trials and tribulations, right? Okay. But that also means that they should be celebrating that much harder with you, right? Now, collective, for some of you, that means you might even have a chosen family, right? And that's often when, and we talk about that, from just like a regular human experience, right? But you going out there and choosing a family sometimes is entering into that partnership with somebody else, right? So for somebody, that could be, marriage in your future, right? Which I do have another family wedding coming up that, it's a lot of work being around all these people. curious being around, nobody else but yourself, like me, it's like, I can get around all sorts of folks. I'm like, oh my God, I could be talking for days around here. Okay, Ten of Cups, let's click. Do we really need a clarification on the Ten of Cups, right? Or door number 2, right? Knight of Wands. Well, this Knight of Wands could be, right, the person, right? Usually I get kind of like a flighty energy with the Knight of Wands, but since it's appearing with the Ten of Cups here and under the Nourishment card, I feel like, collective, this is more like a message saying, you going out and seeking that, seeking that Ten of Cups away from your family, right, is sometimes what you have to do in life, right? And because look at what happens. So think about that $2 ticket now. You invest $1 for you and $1 for somebody else, right? Right? And maybe, maybe luck's going to turn your way. This is also fire sign energy here, okay? Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo again. Leo again. What was the first one out? Leo. Strength. Okay. All right. What's that song by Seal? Never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy, right? What a fool believes. Believing in the power of love. Very 80s here, you know what I'm saying? Back to the Future style. Yeah, sun is up. Sun is up. People woke up today and I was like, yeah, I'm alive. I am thriving. I am breathing this air. Okay. So some of you, collective, could be coming out of like survival mode feeling and kind of letting those shackles, that bondage go. All right. And that's the healing. That's the healing and nourishment that you're getting right now, I feel like. Okay. What is the last card, please, for this message? Ah! There we go, flying. Oh, Justice card, Libra. Laying down the law. Oh my God. And this is Libra energy too. Empress, how about that? So that's, your mid-September, October, right? And I was getting kind of some of that fall energy coming through. Again, that could be, thinking about preparations for school and whatnot. But Justice card also is like, okay, going to the chapel, going to get married, right? Going to the courthouse, getting the paperwork done, right? Here, where it's Justice on top of the Fool card, I'm getting more the, like, oh, they're crazy to get married, right? One of my aunts and uncles, they got married at like 16 and 17 or 18 years old. But then they went on to have this huge family, and, it's like, would you try and trade that today? No. Now that would be foolish, right? And we need to celebrate the life that we have been given, right? Okay. So even though sometimes we are parted, right? And that's what they say in church, like, including the dearly departed, right? But they're there with us as well in spirit. And you guys know, since I'm a reader, I get messages, and being around a large group of family and stuff, that's kind of one of those things. But like, especially at church, I think you can kind of feel it, you know what I mean? And there was a moment in church when all of a sudden I just whipped my head around, because I was like, I just thought, you know what I mean, like some mischievous kid, you know what I mean, that you have to watch out for in church type thing. And I even like looked back in the aisle and I didn't see nobody, and I thought, okay, just relax. It's like, I was like, okay, service isn't over yet. Just relax. It's going to be fine. And so, oh, look at this. Empress ring, King of Swords. Woo! More air sign energy. Star Aquarius. Oh my gosh. Talk about air signs. So, airing out. Yeah, you might be laying down the law, but there might be an airing of grievances, right, at a certain point too. And that is part of when you have your chosen family, right? When you make that commitment, right? My relative that just got married, making a commitment to another person, right? So you're talking about resolving things so that you can move forward together, right? And have this family, have this healing, have this celebration, right? And yeah, that's going to take, say, group work between partners, right? And I won't say much more about that, because that's what you have your pastoral counselors for, and your mental health professionals, and your, what I'm saying, when you have to extend that out, right? Because sometimes our family doesn't know everything. Surprise! Has anyone out there learned that as you get older? It's like, yeah, there's a lot to learn out there, isn't there, folks? Okay. So right? How about putting a stop, an end, a death to thinking we have to know everything? Right? And having a little bit of faith that even if we're going through a hard time, that there's going to be a spiritual family there for us. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. And thinking about it here too, everybody has that right to happiness. It's in our Declaration of Independence, is it not? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is that, League of Legends? I think, yes, I was around some gamers this week. I don't do the gaming, you guys, so I don't know all this stuff. But I mean, it's like building that team, that crew, that, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So, keeping that spirit, keeping that sense of adventure going, right? You don't have to settle down everything. You might be wanting kids at some point in time. Does it have to be tomorrow? No, right? But your partner may feel otherwise. So that might be something you have to settle. Okay? Timing of family and planning, and things of that nature, right? When we say, yeah, we are in this together, right? As signed by not only spiritual law, but man's paperwork law. This is another thing I saw there in town. They had a time capsule that they buried downtown, and they buried it on Juneteenth of a couple years ago. Or maybe it was just last year of 2024. Anyway, and it's like in 2063 or something. It's scheduled, is what the date is on it. And I was thinking about this because it's like, okay, today, what would you put in a time capsule? And it's like, okay, I'm sure somebody is going to say cell phone, right? Because we're all about cell phones. But like, what if it didn't turn on in 2063? All right. What if you couldn't get any of the information off of that phone? Do you know what I'm saying? So like, because in the old days, you used to have like a newspaper in a time capsule, right? And people put things that are fads of the time, right? Like certain bracelets, or maybe a mood ring from like right in the 60s and stuff like that. Okay. I was just thinking about that, and I was like, I wonder. You know what I mean? But so that's a part of, that gathering as well. Being able to see it for yourself, seeing it in person, right? Okay. And that's what makes this journey worth it, right? Yeah. You know, when they shot that rocket off, those dudes, when they're going to the moon and, saying, yeah, we'll bring you back. Do you know what I mean? I mean, some people can't even trust the IRS to get the right money back. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna, I'm just saying, right? So, yeah, there are risks involved in life, right? But if we're lucky, right, even after that separation, we come back together. Okay. All right, I think that is all the message I have for y'all today. Remember, the Strength card came out first for the Tarot as well as the Healing card, okay? And the Three of Pentacles, all very strong. And you had the overall energy of the Empress on the underside of the deck. And, you know, I'll just say it's nice being around some other, strong feminine energies out there. And I do share on occasion some other readers, and there are some masculines out there. I know I've shared the Lewis House stuff. Um, I think he's kind of like an inspirational person, very short videos. Chris Josh. Um, those are just ones that I've shared recently. Masculine. There's another guy out there, and he had a lot of videos that he was doing, but he recently changed the name. Okay, so um, folks that don't necessarily use cards and stuff, right? But it's still types of messages that you might resonate with, you may need. All right, for whatever part of the journey that you're on. Okay, so a do run, 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 a do run, run. Oh, y'all, I listened to a lot of radio growing up, let me tell you. So, thank you if you are in the chat today. I appreciate it. I don't think this is the real Post Malone in here, Thanos, right? Mouse is on Main Street, says, good morning, Carrie Ann. Can I post a question? I don't know if Carrie Ann's still in the chat anyway. And Brandy says, hello. Yeah, so again, relax, we're all crazy. It's not a competition. In the meanwhile, think about living your life wisely. Think about what you're manifesting. Okay, and when I say that, that means what are you thinking about? What's on the manifest of your ship? Okay, it's a big world out there. Get out and explore it, right? Sometimes, going and doing the thing that not everybody's doing is exactly the thing that you need. Okay? And that could be your own justice in the end. All right. So until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.